Let's talk about this film and the name of the film. And again, the whole world knows how new I am to this. And, I had never heard of this act in 1986 until I had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on literally weeks ago. And again, I'm a scientist by training, a little bit like you. I didn't go into medicine, but I was in engineering at MIT. And, I think scientists fall in love with science. And then sometimes we don't look at the execution of the science and the policies. And sometimes we don't even look into the history of it. And so I had convinced myself that vaccines sounded like good science, so I was all in on them. And when I started learning about some of these acts, I was shocked. The first 20 minutes with Robert Kennedy, I think my mouth is open the whole time. And now you're making a movie about this. Maybe you can tell us why make a movie about this act, and what is the story about, and what do you want people to learn from it?
Well, on the face of it, it's the story of the conception, the birth, and the imminent demise of the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act in the United States of America. The important, in these dark times, there is a much more important message, and I'll start by saying this so people can use this as a platform by which to take everything else I say in context. And that is, it's not what you think. It's a story about something far more important, far more powerful, and that is maternal intuition. It's a story about when maternal intuition, an innate understanding of the child growing inside you or of your baby, determines how you take on, in this case, a huge conglomerate, an enormous power structure of government and industry that has coalesced into something that is trying to force mandatory vaccination on the world, is forcing mandatory vaccination on the world. And it's a story about how that intuition is correct. And it may sound to a scientist, to an MIT scientist, initially to me, it sounded bunkum, it sounded no. This can't be more this can't be more powerful, this can't be more defining than science and all our training. Yes, it is. It's exquisitely powerful. It is the reason that we are here on this earth now. We're not here because of public health, and we're not here because of doctors. God forbid. We are here because a mother knows her child best, knows when they're well and when they're ill, when they're faring well and when they're not, and what to do about it. And I've seen this time and time again, and the thousands of parents that I've sat down and talked to about what happened to their child. Then the story is absolutely clear, and the science subsequently comes along and shows it to be right, almost invariably. And the story is not only an example of that, but also an affirmation of its value. So it's a journey. Here we had a very, very complex story about legislation, about litigation, about medical science. How do you tell that story to an audience and not put them to sleep in 10 minutes? Even the most ardent fan of this subject is going to go, oh, come on, really? So how to make it relatable? And this was the key. It was fascinating. And I was at a pop-up fundraiser in Hollywood, and there were two husband and wife celebrities there, and they said, we need to get behind this film. And I was trying to work out at the time how to tell this story. And I said, I know what you can do. You can be in the movie. You can narrate the film. It can be about a couple who are having a baby late in her reproductive life. And therefore it means an enormous amount to them. And they go on this journey. They go on this journey that we went on. And they ask the questions that we should have asked or could have asked, or maybe we did ask to some extent. So it's their journey. And now, Brian, we care about them. We care. We're emotionally invested because they are us. Their success is our success. Their understanding is our understanding. And so we follow this journey. And of course, and in 95% of the relationships I see, it's the husband who says, oh, what about polio? Get over it. Don't be ridiculous. What about the science? And this is a voice far more powerful than that. And it's get on board, buddy. Get on board. If you want to be the father of this child or continue to be my husband, you get on board with this, because there's a little voice inside me that says there's a problem here. And I'm going to listen to that voice, and you're going to listen to me. And they go on this journey. And so for him, the arc of the journey is more tortured, because he's had to go from this adherence to the vaccine mantra right the way through to a position where he's able to make enlightened choice. And that's what it's about. What the film is really about is something far more positive than all the dark headlines that we get now and all the anti-vaxxer this and anti-vaxxer that and Bill Gates this. We don't need that. What it is about is the power of people to determine their own fate. And that's what people need to seize on, because that is the power that people have, that mothers have, and that the government and the medical profession and the industry are terrified of and have tried to usurp. I'm the guy in the white coat. I know better than you do. No, you don't.